When you're faced with a shot like this one, a shot over a bunker that I need to get up in the air very quickly and have it stop reasonably quickly, I've got a number of options. One is to avoid the shot altogether and just go sideways, and that's not much fun, and you'll probably receive a bit of ribbing from your mates. So today we're going to have a look at two ways to play this particular shot. Hi, I'm Peter Knight, and I've created this channel, Peter Knight Golf, to help you play the best golf you can. And today we're going to look at two different ways of playing a shot, either up a bankment, over a bunker, or a shot that you have to have the ball stop reasonably quickly. Now, there are two ways to get the ball to stop, or two things that cause the ball to stop. One is its landing angle. So if a ball comes in at a shallow angle, it's going to land, bounce and run much more than a shot that comes in at a steeper landing angle. We can't get a ball to come in vertically. However, the more it will come down steeply, the less forward momentum it'll have. And the second thing is to create spin on the ball. Now, spin's contingent on two things. Essentially, the loft on the club at impact, which is a combination of the club you're using, the angle of attack that the club swings to the ball, and also how quickly you swing the club. Now, depending on the distance you've got, there are limitations on how hard or how quickly you can swing the club. So let's have a look at these two options. The first of them is a safer option. Now, when I say safer, we're talking about a high-risk shot. I've got a 60-degree wedge here, so I'm going to play both of these shots with the 60-degree wedge. The first one is where I try and minimize the amount of wrist movement that I've got when I play the shot, and I'm going to play it much more like a standard chip or a standard pitch shot. So when I set myself up, I'll set myself up just exactly the same as I would for a short little pitch. So ball's around about the middle of my feet, maybe a fraction forward of center. My hands are over the ball, so they're not a long way forward when I set myself up, and I'm going to open the club face a little bit. When I play this shot, the key here is that most of the shots that I play when I'm striking the ball with pitch and chips, I actually want the shaft to be leaning forward, maybe around about 15 degrees when I play the shot. It's going to help to create good contact, but what it does is it will actually reduce the loft. So I don't want to have my hands as far ahead. I definitely want my hands to be ahead of the ball. If I try and hit a shot with my hands behind the ball, I'm going to hit the ground first, or hit the top of the ball, or perhaps do both. So when I'm playing this short shot, the first one, I'm setting myself up, hands just over the ball, and then when I play this shot, I'm looking to play it with very little wrist action so that the shaft is reasonably vertical, just leaning slightly forward when I play it. So if I hit this shot here, I've got that ball landing over the bunker and running on a little bit. Now, there are times, perhaps if I'm in the rough, if I want the ball to stop even more quickly, or if I have to hit it even higher, that I've got to go to a much more high-risk option. Now, that more high-risk option involves me looking to get more loft on the club head when I actually strike the ball. So I've already got a 60-degree wedge. I'm going to open the club face a little bit, so I've probably got the club face open here, maybe 20 to 30 degrees. I don't want to open it too much. If I open it too much, then when the club swings toward the ball, I've got a very narrow window to try and catch the ball on the club face. It's going to be very easy to hit it on the toe or hit it into the heel, in which case I'm going to get a shot I don't want. So I'm going to open it only round about 20 degrees. The second thing that I'm going to do is when I set myself up, normally I would set myself up from here, and you can see the shaft is at the angle that it is. If I lower the handle, it effectively adds more loft to the club. Now I'm going to adjust my setup so that when I set myself up, I'm going to let my knees flex more, so I'm using my ankle, knee and hips almost like shock absorbers just to help keep me at the right height. And it's important when I play the shot that I stay at that height. So as I swing the club back and through, from here, I'm actually keeping my body height exactly the same. So I'm controlling the height. Now, I'm definitely not tighten my legs and hips to try and keep them at that height, but I am keeping my body at that same height. The next thing I want to do is that as the club approaches the ball, I definitely want to have the feel of the club sliding underneath the ball. Now in reality, the club is still going to strike the ball with a very shallow descending blow. But to give me that feeling of the club moving through, as the club approaches the ball, I'm going to do two things. And these are very much the same as what I would do with a short bunker shot. As the club approaches the ball, I'm going to allow my hands to almost stop, so the momentum of the club allows the club head to swing past my hands. The second thing that I'm going to do is when the club moves through impact, the club face is not going to close like it does with a normal full shot. So my club face is open. As the club moves through impact, I get to here and my club face is actually still pointed to the sky. Now, I'm also going to adjust a couple of other things with setup. One is I'm going to aim a little bit to the left. Now, I don't have to aim far to the left because the effect of loft on the club and opening the club face means that the ball will go a tiny bit to the right, but not very far. All right, so let's give this shot a go. So my stance is wider, which is going to help me to keep my hips down. The ball is forward of center. And then from here, I'm going to need to make a bigger swing, which adds to the risk, of course. And now we get the ball coming down much more softly as it's approaching or when it lands on the green. It hasn't got as much forward momentum. So it will stop a little bit sooner than the previous shot that I played, the first type. Much, much higher risk, but it does allow the ball to fly a little bit higher, come down at a steeper landing angle, but it's also a more difficult shot to control distance. Direction's not that hard to control, but definitely controlling distance is more difficult. So practice that shot. The key thing with it is you have to stay nice and relaxed and free as you're playing it. If your body tightens up, if you have excessive hand movement, you can see that the club's moving a lot around my hands, but that's not my hands doing the work. That's just the momentum of the club head acting on my hands. But if you practice that shot, then when you get it on the golf course, then your playing partners are going to be pretty impressed with the results that you can get from playing it.